City of Stevens Point Police and Fire Commission meeting, recorded July 9, 2024.
It's 2 o'clock.
We're not even taking.
We'll bring the meeting to order. Candy, if we can have a roll call, please.
Kirschling.
Here.
Mrozek. Here. Ostrowski.
Here.
Zenner.
Here. And Jason is excused. Number 2 on the agenda, President's Report. The only thing I have is everything, from my understanding, went very smooth over the 4th of July holiday with Riverfront. I want to thank both of the departments for all their hard work and keeping everybody safe. Number 3, approval of minutes. Anybody have any? Well, we need a motion, then we can talk about it.
Motion to approve, Mrozek.
Second by Zenner.
Second by Zenner. Do we have any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Number 4, confirmation of bills. Mr. Secretary.
Yes, Mr. President. First page you got there is the police department. They're a healthy one. Most of it is largely due to training and new officer supplies. The only hiccup in there is, if you notice, cleaning services. There's 2 bills. Just like we had WPS problem last month, this month it's the cleaning bills, 2 months and 1 month. So that's the only negative thing that pops up there. The big one is the Celebrate subscriptions at $6,400, but that's an annual thing and necessary for the operation of the department, so nothing unusual jumps out. I just remind people that when they look at the next page, the general fund, to add that June amount to the May amount to get your true assessment. A couple items are popping up into the well-used category, but that is due to training and new equipment for new people, so nothing jumps out unusual. The ambulance service apparently is running very smooth because that was one of the lowest supplies I've seen in a while, and I thank them for that. But again, nothing jumps out other than training costs money, and there's 1 bill in there for tuition, which is really training. And when you add that to their May amount, they're well within budget, no problems there. Looking at the fire department, again, very clean, nothing unusual. The only thing, Joe, accountability tags, what do they mean by that?
So on each of our rigs, when you get assigned it and you go on for the day, you put an accountability tag on. It's a small little tag that you put on the rig. Therefore, when they get called to work or go work on a job, they pull those tags and they hand it off before they make entry into the building. Okay. Therefore, we have the ability to account for all of our personnel and where they're at.
Okay, simple thing, not a big fee, but I was curious on that one. Again, tuition was part of our main expense. So with that, I would recommend acceptance of the bills as submitted and pay them as such.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Zenner seconds. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of confirmation of bills, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Number 5, discussion with possible action to approve a request for out-of-state travel for Assistant Chief Dana Williams to attend the Department of Homeland Security Leadership Academy in Georgia. Chief?
Yes, correct. So last month, our department hosted an FBI, Department of Homeland Security, active shooter training, which brought in a lot of individuals from throughout the state of Wisconsin. And it was active shooting that took place in schools. We hosted that 4-day training. And because of that 4-day training, they offered Assistant Chief Williams a spot in their academy, which is going to occur in August. And the academy actually focuses in on crisis leadership, so leadership in those times when it's needed the most. And I'm asking for permission to send her to Glencoe, Georgia, to the Homeland Security Leadership Academy. It's a 10-day program, and all expenses paid. It will not cost us anything. It will not cost the city anything, the department anything. They're paying for transportation, for meals, for lodging and everything. And so I just need your permission. I did go to committees last night, and I got their approval pending your approval from the PFC to send her to that out-of-state training.
Very good. Is there any questions?
I would like to recommend that we approve this out-of-state study for Assistant Chief Williams.
Second by Mrozek.
All right, we have a motion, a second. Any questions or comments? I think this is very good. Crisis leadership is very important, and Assistant Chief Williams, I think, is a great participant to go to this. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Number 6, discussion with possible action to approve a conditional offer of employment to Larson Biadish and Bianca Petino. Am I saying her?
Yes, you
Petino?
are. Correct. So we'll start with Larson first for seniority purposes. Larson grew up here in Stevens Point. He graduated from the Stevens Point Area Senior High in May of 2017. He enrolled in the United States Army in August of 2017 upon graduation. He's been a military police officer for the past 7 years. In August of 2021, Larson was assigned to the Department of Army Criminal Investigations Division in the state of Texas, where he has investigated over 100 felony-level criminal cases, ranging in areas of controlled substances, sexual assault, government property misappropriation, and child abuse. Larson attended, while in the Army, the Southern New Hampshire University during his time in the Army, and graduated in May of 2024 with a bachelor's degree in psychology as well. Because of his vast experience in the military, he is eligible for the reciprocity exam in the state of Wisconsin. And what we can do is we can actually, if with the approval with the PFC, is we can hire him pending the psychological and the medical screening. And he has 1 year to take the reciprocity exam. So what our plan would be is to actually get him on board, put him through the field training to get him used to the statutes in Wisconsin, and then have him go through the reciprocity exam with the state of Wisconsin to become a certified law enforcement officer here. So again, we're looking for the PFC's approval to hire Larson Lee Biadish as a patrol officer with recruit schooling with the Stevens Point Police Department upon successful completion of both the psychological and medical screening, with the understanding that Larson will complete and pass the reciprocity exam within 1 year of his hire date, and his hire date would be expected to be August 5th of 2024.
Chief, would he be on any kind of, the 1 year time period? Is that his probation? Or?
Probation is actually 1.5 years, and the hiring would be pending the fact that he has to pass the reciprocity, and he has 2 chances to pass it. If he fails a second time, then he would actually be terminated from the job.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve Larson Biadish to be hired as a police officer for the city of Stevens Point. When was he going to get picked up?
August 5th.
On August 5th, pending successful psychological and medical screening, and with the understanding that he successfully complete a reciprocity exam within 1 year of hiring date.
Second
I'll
by
second that nomination.
All right, we have a motion.
Motion.
Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
All right.
Hearing none? Hearing none? Motion passes.
All right, the next one is going to be Bianca Petino, another individual who actually grew up here in Stevens Point, graduated from the Stevens Point Area Senior High in May of 2022. Bianca then enrolled in the criminal justice program at Mid-State Technical College, where she did graduate with the degree in May of 2024. While attending college, Bianca completed an internship with the Wisconsin Rapids Police Department, where in January of 2023, she became part of their auxiliary police unit. And she was the recipient of the Wisconsin Rapids PD Award for most hours volunteered in 2023. Then in February of 2024, Bianca was hired as a part-time deputy with Wood County Sheriff's Office. Both agencies informed our background investigator that Bianca is an incredible employee with a great work ethic, and that if they had any openings, they would want to hire her immediately. It's very apparent that Bianca is dedicated, passionate, and highly motivated in her commitment to becoming a law enforcement officer. And people described her as dependable, focused, personable, sociable, mature, and someone that has very good interpersonal skills. We are asking the Police and Fire Commission approval to hire Bianca Patino as a patrol officer without recruit schooling with the Stevens Point Police Department. Upon successful completion of both the psychological and the medical screening, with the understanding that Bianca will complete and pass the 720 Law Enforcement Academy, which is scheduled to begin August 9th of 2024 at Midstate.
I'll make a motion. Motion to approve the hiring of Bianca Patino as patrol officer without recruit schooling upon successful completion of both the psychological and medical screening, with the understanding that she completes and passes the 720-hour Law Enforcement Academy, which is scheduled to begin August 9th of this year.
Second that.
All right, we have a motion, a second. Any questions, comments?
Chief, we still have a block in the contract where they are paid separately or its own internal bracket if they don't have recruit school until it's completed?
Correct. They get 50% of the patrol officer's wage while they're attending school.
Do we have an actual start date on that for Bianca?
August 8th, they'd be sworn in. August 9th is when they'd start.
All right. All in favor of hiring Bianca Patino, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor, or excuse me, all those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 7, Police Chief's Report.
All righty. One of the most important things I want to announce is on July 19th, Officer Christy Arns is going to be retiring after 25 plus years with the City of Stevens Point and the Stevens Point Police Department. We'll be having a little ceremony for her at 10 o'clock in the morning on the 19th here at the Stevens Point Police Department, so please make sure that you all come and celebrate all of her time that she gave to the city. To go on, last month, Lieutenant Ben Eitenbrook reached out to Canadian National. It's a giving program grant, and they awarded us a $5,000 check towards the K-9. On the 3rd of June, Officer Kramer and Lieutenant Johnson partnered with the Plover PD and conducted active shooter training at the Burrard Center for Boys and Girls Club. There were 50 people that were present. On the 4th, Mallory Gaylord was sworn in as our new officer without recruit training. Officer Gaylord started the 720-hour Law Enforcement Academy on the 5th of June at Fox Valley Tech and is doing extremely well at this point. One of the big things we had is our training. We had RTF training, which is put on by Portage County Sheriff's Department, Plover Police Department, the Stevens Point Fire Department, and our department. It was annual rescue task force training, active shooters in the schools. We held it at Alman Baycroft School, Plover Whiting Elementary, and Ben Franklin. And there was approximately 320 people that attended this training. And it wasn't just our staff that I named off, but hospital staff was there, med flight staff was there, emergency management personnel from the city were there, and the FBI was there as well. On the 12th of June, Assistant Chief Williams attended a virtual active shooter training at the Stevens Point Orthopedics. Then on the 13th, Quick Trip got a hold of us and donated an additional $3,000 to our K-9 fund. And on the 17th, we had new officer interviews, and they're completed by Officer Kim DeRoser, Lieutenant Eitenbrook, and Lieutenant Paschal, and it was overseen by Assistant Chief Williams. So again, we appreciate all the help we've gotten over this last year with all the hiring that we've been doing. And currently, Assistant Chief Rotier is doing promotional evaluations for Lieutenant and Sergeant as well. And I already talked about on the 25th, that is when Dana assisted the FBI with the 4-day active shooter training at the schools. And the only thing I want to point out other than that is the mental health related incidents, which have been going up every year. As of the end of June, we've had a total of 490 welfare checks that officers had responded to, and that is 23% more than last year. Last year at this time, we had 399. And the thing that, with mental health-related incidents and welfare checks is they're an incident where it's not a one-officer call. It's a two-officer call at minimum, possibly a 4-officer call. Some last for 10 minutes where you find out if they're okay and identify some resources for them. But some of the welfare checks turn into chapters and they could last up to 12 hours. So again, I just want to point out that welfare checks and mental health related incidents have gone up 23% from last year already.
Chief, are these recurring individuals, or are these all new cases?
It's not all new cases, but a lot of new cases.
Okay.
Chief, are these local residents or are these transients going through?
The majority of them are local residents. Sometimes they are not local residents because we have the hospitals here in town, and they may respond to the hospital, and since the hospital's in our jurisdiction, we're the agency that responds and takes care of them.
Does there seem to be a trend in what's causing it? Is it just domestic violence, or is it drugs, or is it alcohol? I mean, is there a trend?
If there is a trend that we haven't determined what it is, so that we can actually
All over
put
the board.
resources towards it, it's all over the board.
Okay. And the other thing is, now with the hiring of the 2 new officers, I see we're 45 out of 49 now. What is our status now?
So as of right now, we're going to have, we'll have 4 officers in the academy. And starting in December, when they're out of the academy, we will be at our 46. We originally, well, actually, in December, with them graduating, we'll be at 47, like we agreed upon for Officer Schultz's retirement in April. But I did speak to one of our officers yesterday, and that individual, I'm not going to say a name at this point, but he has actually applied at another agency, and it looks like he'll actually be leaving us here in August probably, and so we will be back to 46, and we'll have to start a hiring process for Officer Schultz.
You've had quite a bit of turnover in the last couple of years.
Chief Zenner gave me a call the other day and asked me how many people we've hired since his retirement, which was 2.5 years ago, and we've hired 13. We've got 22 officers. We have a total of 46 officers here sworn, including myself, and 22 of those individuals have less than 5 years' experience.
Are we seeing a problem with applicants, or are we just fortunate that we're getting some good ones?
We are seeing an issue with the quantity, but we have been extremely lucky, and with Assistant Chief Williams and the process that she holds, the quality has actually been very, very, very good. So we've been very lucky with the individuals we've gotten.
Well, I'd like to compliment you and your staff, because I've taken a big interest in this, and I've seen this trend changing around here. But even I check with my family members that live elsewhere, and in some towns it is a really serious, I mean, they're down 30% in personnel and stuff like that. Thank goodness we're not that bad. But it has got to be a strain on your department on time training and on shift work and everything else.
It's a big strain on our field training officers. It's a strain on our assistant chiefs who have to do the process. It's a strain on our detectives who have to do backgrounds on every individual that we put through to the process. And yeah, it's very stressful.
Please express to the department people that as a commissioner and as a citizen, I appreciate everything they're going through.
Will do.
Are we having any, I'm just looking at the kind of some of these summaries of what's taken place here. Do we have any permanent or extended injuries from our officers having to respond to some of these? I mean, it sounds like some of these subjects are.
Yeah, as of right now, we do
really
not
good
have.
fight here.
As of right now, we do not have anybody on injuries.
Chief, one of the, I didn't understand correctly, is one of the officers that is applying to another department, is that one of the officers that we hired without recruit training?
No.
Okay.
No, this is an individual who's been with our department for several years. He is going to be a huge, huge loss, but it's family-related issues.
Okay, yeah, I understand. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
Just to go back with the officers that we've either lost or we're retiring, we also have officers on light duty how is that? I guess how many officers are we short, like boots on the ground?
Boots on the ground, we've got the 4 that are going to be in the academy, so that's 4 right there. We've got 1 that's on light duty at this point. That person will be going on FMLA in August, I believe. We've got another officer that will be going on FMLA in August as well, so we'll be 6 down from boots on the ground until December.
Is that made much of an impact? Well, that's rhetorical, but I'm assuming that made quite an impact on supplementing manpower. So that might be something we want to keep an eye on for overtime budgets.
It will towards the end of the year. Obviously, in October, we start making mandatory 7s again, so it will affect our overtime budget, but we'll keep a close eye on it. But if we have to call people in, we will call people in.
All right. We have a motion.
Motion to accept the chief's report as submitted.
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion, a second. Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. Number 8, fire chief's report, EMS report, and EM report.
That's a lot of reports, and I'll do the best I can.
Right.
So we'll start with the fire report. This last month, Lieutenant Schultz and Lieutenant Westfall received the Humane Society Awards for saving animals in an emergency situation. Lieutenant Westfall, they did a water rescue of a dog on a log, and it does rhyme. So I just want to point out the fairly obvious. And Lieutenant Schultz saved a cat in an apartment building fire. So 2 thumbs out to them. They were awarded that during Walk for Wags, and both animals were saved. So that was given out to them through the Humane Society. So 2 thumbs up, and we appreciate all their hard work. On the EMS side, just a quick update. All the ambulances that we house, all 5 of them, had their state ambulance inspection. They passed. Just want to throw out a special thanks to the county garage for the hard work that they do. They do get in underneath the ambulances, check them to make sure that they're roadworthy and available. So 2 thumbs up. I just thought I'd mention that because I know that.
That was well noted by me.
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure that. And then, secondly, on the EMS side, field training paramedic Connor Pelot wrote a grant through the North Central Regional Trauma Advisory Council to receive junctional tourniquets for all of the Portage County ambulances, not just the Stevens Point Fire Department. We were granted that. A junctional tourniquet goes on where a normal tourniquet wouldn't, to stop hemorrhaging in the event of a traumatic injury. With RTF training that we had done, or active shooter training that we did this last month, we utilized the training to help our medics understand how they use in case they were shot in the hip area or in the areas where you wouldn't be able to utilize it. That was a $2,100 grant, so we put one on each ambulance in Portage County to help with life safety. That is what I have for fire and EMS. As far as the EM report goes, I will let Deputy Fire Marshal Justin Malin and Emergency Manager come up, and if you would please, he's got a brief recap of the incident, of the severe weather incident with the Emergency Operations Center from 5/21/24.
Afternoon. I'll start out with the June Emergency Management Report. In June, we started the weekly warning siren observation. That's between PD and FD. So we send one officer and 1 fire apparatus out to one of our warning siren locations. We have 8 within the city, just to observe that they are sounding. About 2 weeks ago, PD noticed that, reported that the one at PJ Jacobs was not working, and we were able to get a technician out and fix it right away. So already paid off right away, so that's pretty cool. Met with Century, and they are looking to donate 14 cubicle workstations for the EOC that I'm trying to set up in the basement as a fixed location. We're looking to take delivery of that by end of August, which will be pretty cool, pretty exciting for us. Some other highlights in the report: participated in the Lineage Logistics Annual Emergency Response walkthrough, which was pretty cool. Also met with Century and UWSP to talk about family assistance centers. There's a big interest there, so working on a continued project with that. And then worked on the incident action plan for Riverfront, which was a little time consuming, but we were able to get through it, and I believe it was a very successful event. So. Then moving on, I just wanted to recap a little bit on the May 21st, 2024 severe weather that hit us. We were forecast to get multiple rounds of severe weather to hit our area, one starting about 12 p.m., another one about 2, another at 5, and the worst of it about 8 o'clock. So after speaking to a couple of department heads, I reached out to Mayor Wiesa, and we decided to do a partial activation as a training exercise. So I reached out to Fire, PD, Public Works, Public Utilities, and the Parks Department, and we staffed the EOC from approximately 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. A couple of items that went well, or some feedback that I received that went well. It was nice to have all the key departments in one room. They were able to communicate pretty effectively. The communication flow upstream and downstream was pretty successful. We were able to create a response plan, understand the roles and responsibilities, everybody there. We were able to craft messaging ahead of time, and then also able to identify needs in the EOC. Now, it was my understanding that we hadn't activated an EOC in several years, so it was nice to see what we needed. Some things to improve on. For me, I didn't communicate or establish a operational period right off the bat. It was after the fact that we met, so making sure that's clearly defined beforehand. Setup time versus operational work time. Need to look at better radio setup, getting antennas. We need additional TVs, HDMI cords, some of those types of items. Also, the activation method and communication process on activating the EOC. I'm looking at streamlining that a little bit. I went through and I called everybody. It was very time consuming. So if it was more of an urgent matter, sometimes time is not always on our side. And then providing situational awareness updates to all that need to be involved with that. So, any questions? Yeah.
First of all, where is the center to be located, or is located?
Currently, our EOC is at Transit. So it's in the training room at Transit.
So that's where that donated equipment is going to be set up?
Yeah. So right now we have our EOCs in the training room, and we have to bring everything in, our laptops, our phones, all that kind of stuff. I'm looking to get it fixed, so all we have to do is you just show up as a body, and everything would be in place in the basement is what I'm trying to work towards.
My other question is, because I'm a big believer in a backup to everybody, is there somebody, in case you get sick or can't respond, who retakes your place?
Chief Moody would be the emergency management director.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet.
I have one question. Are we setting up, so it sounds like Century's going to be moving these 14 cubicles and getting that set up. Are we looking at, or have you done yet, so these people are going to be in place in the event of an emergency, to be able to have things within that building, to feed them water? Are we looking at having anything that would be a plan in place for that, or to have maybe some rations there?
Potentially, I think that's a good thought. That was on our partial EOC activation that we did. That was kind of an afterthought on my behalf initially, so we ended up ordering some pizza for that. But that is something that we definitely have to think about. I'll call it accommodations when we activate the EOC. So.
Right. I mean, you would hate to even, if we got to that point, but even potential a cot or something that if they're, the people are going to have to be there for some substantial amount of time to.
Absolutely. And typically, when an EOC is activated, our operational periods don't usually go over 12 hours. So when there is an EOC activation, you should kind of plan for that 12-hour operational period, and then within that, making sure that we have the proper accommodations.
I think it was a terrific opportunity that you took advantage to do some training on this. So that was very, very smart. One question I do have under your what to improve.
Yeah.
Better radio setup. Can you tell us a little bit, because that's a big deal.
Yeah, so we had communicated with the comm center that if we were to get any reports of trees down or debris on the road that needed to be cleared out, that they were to call us via radio on the Parks channel. And when they did so on the Parks and the Streets channel, it was a little hard to hear. And of course, I think you had to provide your radio for us to communicate back, because the other departments weren't working that well. So
What do we need to do to fix that?
I'm not 100% sure. I'm still looking into that.
Upgrade to Parks and Streets radios.
Okay.
At this point, they were discussing their channels and how they were programmed and all that, but at the end of the day, there needs to be, if you're going to deal in a situation like that, there needs to be a clear cut, like this channel, this is how we're going to do it.
I agree.
And their radios aren't as sophisticated as law enforcement's and EMS's.
Yeah, and they were talked about putting a repeater or a tower or an antenna just outside of the building, along the building, would have helped tremendously. But again, without him setting this up, we wouldn't have known that.
Okay.
Yeah, we would have just thought everything was going to go smoothly, and we'll call Streets if we need them, and we found out that we had to go through Parks, so.
Like I say, it's a
I remember
Great
from
opportunity.
9/11, that was the biggest thing that came out of the 9/11 report, is that everybody was on the different frequencies, taking the equipment.
But the best part about that whole situation is that had that we ran into problems, we were all face to face with the people who needed to make those. We weren't trying to get a hold of somebody. We were all right in the same room, and we were able to have that conversation.
Do we know if Parks and Streets has this money available within their budgets for upgrading the radios or the antenna, or is it?
At staff, what they've talked about is it's not necessarily updating them, it's getting an antenna over there or a tower. And I know that in the future plans, there is a suggestion of putting a water tower out there on the east side, because they're going to need it for the pressure. And so their antennas would be actually placed on top of the water towers over on the east side. The PD is looking at updating their radios through the Capitol starting next year. That's my request for Capitol, which you guys will be hearing about in August at the PFC.
All right. Do we have is that anything further?
That's all.
You good?
That is all. Thank you.
All right. Do we have a?
One question
Oh,
for,
go ahead.
For me?
yeah, for you.
Thought I would have got away with it.
No, we've been watching that the incidents have been rising. Now, this one seems to be dropped, but I did notice Town Hall and Whiting, sizable jumps in activity. Any explanation, or it just happens?
So when we look at those townships, so that's when our CAR 5 or our rapid response unit goes out, and those go out on a peri-arrest situation. So a peri-arrest means something that could possibly lead to death. So they only go out and assist the ambulances on those. What that trend is, I'm not 100% sure of why those municipalities had a jump in those types of calls, but that's when you see those calls when that CAR 5 goes out. That's when the lieutenant jumps into the chase vehicle and goes out and assists them. And the reason that we do that is because they're high risk, low frequency, life-threatening things where a third person that has the knowledge to be able to take that scene and control it and take that away from the medics comes into play.
I've been seeing quite a few of that going past my own place, county squad followed by that vehicle. I was kind of curious, and I saw those two jump out at me.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird sight, but it does happen.
All right.
I'll
anything
make
else?
I'll make a motion to approve the fire chief, EMS, and EM reports.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second,
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion approves, and we are adjourned.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.